Alright, so that interview worked out last time. And I at least found it. A jet to Europe. Let's see. Guy Hudson, Europe. That's his name, right? I find his name incredibly forgettable for some reason. Yeah, Guy Hudson, Europe. No. Just Roottree Europe. Like the company in Europe. There was Brazil earlier. Roottree Brazil brings something up. Roottree Brazil, sometimes erroneously referred to as Roottree Brazil. Is it one of those cases where we use a Z, but they don't use a Z or something? It's one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute Roottree candy. It was developed as a part of the Roottree Everywhere initiative. Hello. Near the beginning of 1979. Unlike some of the other Roottree Everywhere results, Roottree Brazil seems to be a success. You do some rough translating to find a significant amount of information about it. Brazil was the only region in which caviar flavored 5 pieces released at the end of 1978 were a hit. The primary reason was that the factory still exists to this day. The primary reason that the factory still exists to this day is solely to create that flavor, which comes in its own standalone 5 pieces bag with Portuguese writing. So they sell just caviar on its own in Brazil and nowhere else. A small town called Alvalagos, near the municipality of Sao Bernardo do Campo, became the location chosen by the Roottree Candy Company after a newly elected local politician named Edson Soares heard that they were planning a new factory and petitioned them in early 1979. There's a lot of names in that one, so I didn't really absorb it very well. Small town of Alvalagos. That's a lot of names to keep track of in the future, I think. San Bernardo do Campo. Edson Soares. So that's the one that they probably bribed. The factory was controversial as locals did not want it there. The Rootrees visited Brazil around Christmas and managed to break ground on the project. Since then, however, it has been operating relatively smoothly, except for 2 incidents. The first was Incendio do Borro in 1982, and the second was an unsuccessful strike in 1995 that involved all the factory workers being replaced. Well, I don't think we really needed to know that the mega corporation's evil, but yeah, when people strike for workers' rights and you respond by firing all of them, you might not be for the people. The factory was originally built and run, according to the paperwork at the time, by a small company called Nova Corporação de Doces Brasil, which literally translates to New Brazil Candy Corporation. The company no longer exists. Not much information has ever existed about it, and the Roottree has now run Roottree Brazil entirely. Okay. I'm gonna call this G... Oh, come on. Why can't I click on things? Okay, whatever. Mouse dead. RT Everywhere. It doesn't fit. Guess I can drop the G, maybe? Abbreviated Everywhere. Like, I'm just like, hey. No? Yeah, the internet does not give me an abbreviation for everywhere. I was like, can I, like, make this a better thing? I'm gonna call it global, because that basically means the same thing in this case. just about international. Everywhere is just too big of a word for these tags. Shocked Roottreemania fit. Yeah, I think this is what this is becoming, because I don't think that the family member I originally named the section after is going to really be relevant. We have a lot more names we can look into. This doesn't currently lead me to a person, is my concern. San Bernardo de Campo is a real place in Brazil. A game designer by the name of Jeremy Johnston looked up cities in Brazil that had a lot of manufacturing so that he could place a fictional factory there. He did not want to offend any Brazilians with the tale he was writing that involved corruption and politics. The small town name he made up, Lagos, where the city was located, was invented by mixing two other regions, Interlagos and Alvarenga. Does the name make sense? It's very funny that they just straight up just occasionally have these fourth wall breaks where we're like, okay, so here's what's up with that bit. So I made it up. I made it up. It's pure fiction. We made it up. We made it up. Edson Soares. Or Soares? Edson Soares was a Brazilian politician. You find a dissertation published by a college student as part of their PhD in history. It focused on the rise of democracy in Brazil. It seems up until 1988, Brazil was run by the military, and the politics during the time were often a hotbed for corruption and nepotism. The paper tells of a few politicians at the time, including Edson Soares. Edson is a former mayor of Alvalagos, Brazil. Before politics, he was a manager at an automotive manufacturing plant for a major American car company. He was put in charge of Alvalagos by the... Stop it. By the military government in 1973. As mayor, he used his manufacturing background and knowledge of American business to establish new factories, distribution plants, and other business ventures in the area. This had two side effects. First, he became quite rich. Second, many locals were forcibly relocated. Oh. This did not make him a popular mayor. And what the paper speculates was a move to counteract this unpopularity, his wife Sonia was discreetly put in charge of a television station called Teleread. He often used his connections to ensure supporters would appear on local television, spouting his beliefs and emphasizing his political victories. He reigned in office until 1988, when he was defeated in the first election after the military government was no longer in control. After this election loss, he quickly left the town behind. It is not known where he has gone, but the dissertation even speculates he likely fled to stay alive. Huh. So he was a corrupt dude that was courting American companies. Do a little bit of a colonialism in their country, economically. And enriching himself. Shall I read? Oops. All I wanted to do. Teleread is a former television station in Brazil. It came into being in 1970 after a vacuum was created during the removal of a different network at the hands of Brazilian military dictatorship. Due to a lack of resources online, you don't have much to go on about who ran it and when. Yeah, we do. Sonia. Does not seem to be anyone relevant by the name of Sonia Soares listed anywhere online you can find. However, Spider Search does return a page that lists a news anchor in Brazil named Flavio Soares, who has a mother named Sonia. Okay. Interesting. Flavio Soares is a young Brazilian newscaster with a bit of a cult following. The discourse surrounding him is, to put it in polite terms, lewd. There's a website about something called fan fiction that has a small section dedicated to him. What? Like AO3 has a Flavio Soares section? It seems that women and some men of a variety of ages and writing skill tend to find him worthy of inclusion in their stories. You skim through some tales where there and learn about the common thread is that he's currently dating a supermodel named Ashley York. It's a different person, right? Many stories either seem to ignore her existence or get her out of the picture rather quickly. There are also other more traditional fan sites that list some things about him, including his age, 18, his zodiac sign, Libra, his favorite food, grilled steak, and his mother's name, Sonia. Also, it seems that Flavio translates to golden-haired. One website that with a signed publicity photo of Flavio seems to confirm this. His photo has been added to your evidence. Huh. He's 18. Let's see, York. Because you became York, didn't you? Your name's Cricket, though. Did you go to Brazil and get Sonia pregnant? Is that where we're going with this? I don't know. The fact that we're getting a photo of him is sus for that purpose. To Natasha, kisses from Brazil. Flavio. Flavio Soares is a Brazilian news anchor who's 18 years old? Do they... That's weird. I'm just like on a... I don't know, in the United States at least, I feel like people just wouldn't trust an 18-year-old to deliver the news. Like, to be clear, newscasters, as far as I can tell, mostly just read a teleprompter. So, like, who knows? But, like, it just feels like they... It's just it's a performance, and just your overall appearance and so on is like enforcing some level of decorum, and like your age implies some level of wisdom and authority. So like even though it's kind of fake and you're not even reading, they're not even your words you're reading, I feel like the news anchors usually want them to be like definitely an adult in appearance and maybe even old, to like imply that they definitely know what they're talking about and you can listen to this authority figure, because they're basically just like a actor slash model for the news. It's not always the case. I think there are people that are real journalists sometimes, but a lot of people that are news anchors do kind of just feel like they are there to just do the performance, basically. Flavio Soares is a Brazilian news anchor. I think I should just get his name in here somewhere. Mother Sonia Soares, wife of Edson Soares. Because if you have a husband, then it'd be you. Is this the final affair? I feel like it's not late enough in the thing, right? 1982. Let's see. $1973. I don't know why I'm looking here when I should be looking for at a Roottree Forever. Roottree Brazil. $1978. Yeah, so 1979. And this, his reign of terror would last until 1982. $1979 is kind of the midpoint. I'm curious. I might tentatively include these people just to see what happens here. Flavio Soares, Sonia. Last name unknown, technically. Original name. And then Edson Soares. Curious about that. Don't know if that's going to turn out to be true or not. News anchor is an option. What did it say that she did? interesting that it says that she has no relevancy and no page. In charge of television station teleread. Producer? Producer's not an option. News anchor's the only one there. No, there's no manager or producer. I'm just going to say news anchor for Sonia, I guess. We don't have any pictures of Edson Soares yet. We'll see. We'll see if this actually turns to be relevant. It can't be this one because she was married to Edson. But even this implies that they were split up, which I guess makes sense if he fled the country and didn't take her. But I don't think it's the final affair because there's 2 kids there, and also it probably takes place towards the end of this span of time. I imagine he was consistent throughout, basically, with his sleeping around. But yeah, this is just economics of characters a little bit. Like, there's always the question, like, is this a red herring? Or is this character specifically relevant? Ooh, thing worth questioning. So 1979, age 18, 79, it's 1999 right now, right? So 20 years later. There's wiggle room for which part of the year he's born in, and like almost a year for pregnancy and so on. Yeah, he's about as old as Guy Hudson being here. I think that's the biggest clue, actually, is his age. Is that Guy Hudson would have gone to Brazil like 18 years ago. Okay. I don't think I've looked up the thing yet. Roottree Everywhere initiative. Roottree Everywhere was an expansion in the late 1970s. It coincided with some other large changes to the company and had mixed success. As far as you can tell, the different companies related to it were all formed in very different, sometimes haphazard ways. There's minimal organized information about the history of the expansion itself online, but you can glean the following. Roottree candy has been distributed globally to certain markets approved by Elias as early as the 1940s. This included places like Canada, Mexico, and select countries in Europe, mostly the UK. Roottree Everywhere involved Roottree's expansion to other major markets that were assessed to be ready for Roottree. This started with 4 that it had no share in: Australia, Brazil, China, and France. Each of the countries had an entirely new company formed, mostly by making deals with local distributors and manufacturers. Roottree Aus, Roottree Brazil. Right, so I can probably get rid of the other one. This one also says the individual names of the companies. Okay. Interesting. So Roottree Brazil has its own name, which I guess we saw already. It lagged at loading, I guess. Let's see. We still need to learn about the wife more. Let's try Incendio de Bordo. Oops. Ah, you fucker, just let me search it. The way that it will change its mind whether or not you're highlighting it or you're like looking it up in the thing can be annoying. Incendio de Bordo translates to maple fire. Oh no. In 1982, the factory was deliberately attacked in a case of clear arson. The fire was brought under control after destroying about 2/3 of the production floor, and locals claimed that the air smelled like a mix of burning plastic and maple syrup. The factory was rebuilt and continues production to this day. At the time, it was unknown why this happened, but last year, a news special did list this incident as well as a few others in the small town as backlash to perceived corruption in the government at the time. According to the report, the mayor of the city was found to be receiving a cut of the factory's profits. Okay. That makes sense. It's what we expect. Because we were introduced to this by the idea that he bribed an official. Edson Soares might be in public news. Business Watch. So they didn't look into him for in the news magazine. What was this one again? A weekly magazine focused on current events. Okay, it's very vague. Just news concept. The concept of news. Ooh. I forgot where. It's at Roottree, Brazil. Well, the rain comes and goes. Strike. Okay. No infidels at the strike online. We can look up this company. Nope. Searching that just brings us back to the page we're already on. Maybe in the news thing? Nope. That's all a dead end. How would one learn more about Sonia Edson? They didn't change their name at, like, his dad got run out of the country for being a corrupt politician, propped up by the military, but he just got to stick around. Huh. I guess we'll do the full tour of these options and see if they lead to something more helpful. Roottree Australia is one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute Roottree candy. It was developed as part of the Roottree Everywhere initiative in summer 1979. According to a history website for Roottree Australia, Charles Martin, who owned a company that manufactured licorice in Australia, was tapped to run the Roottree factory after he impressed the American leadership of the Roottree Candy Company at the time. Roottree Australia did have some success, but only in certain regions. The manufacturing leg of the company shuttered in 1992 after the death of Martin, and Roottree Australia now serves as an importer and distributor. So now they just receive it. Charles Martin was a candy manufacturer in Australia, born in 1923. He had a popular brand of licorice called Martin's Licorice Bullets. Most of his history is unrelated to the Roottrees. However, in 1979, he helped develop Roottree Australia. He used his own wealth to build a new factory and then distributed the maple treats through the same methods he had already been using for his previous candy venture. A website about Australian commerce mentioned that he had a very unusual business agreement with the main Roottree family in the US. Much like how the Clancy Trust distributed the profits from the Roottree company evenly to the Roottree family, the profits of the Roottree Australia would be split 50-50 between American Roottree company and Martin himself, for him to do with as he wants. This made Martin very, very wealthy, but also led to many cost-cutting measures meant to increase profits as much as possible, especially towards the end of Martin's life in the early 1990s. Roottree candy gained a poor reputation in Australia, and sales suffered immensely. Charles's vast fortune was passed along to his daughter, Robin Martin, who sold both businesses at the earliest opportunity. Huh. Martin's Licorice Bullets. Look at branding with that? Nope. Robin Martin? Robin Martin is featured in many of the top 100 wealthiest women in the world's list. She owns a private island off the coast of Australia, who she reportedly has her own exclusive retreat. She has no husband, and there has been and it was a widely circulated rumor somewhere in the mid-70s that she had a medical procedure to ensure she would never have children. You find a joke on a site called Edgy Jokes that implies she's quite promiscuous and has a punchline involving robin's eggs. For what it's worth, Martin seemed to lean into the rumors. In the 80s, she once showed up to a charity function with 3 very attractive men, each wearing a shirt that said simply "satisfied partner" on it. Huh. Top 100 wealthiest women in the world, and she's like, yeah, that's right, I fuck. Don't know what to do with that. Well, if she's extremely wealthy, she might show up in the business thing. Apparently, Robin Martin sold off her father's assets in 1992, the year after he died, which combined with her inheritance immediately catapulted her to an almost unimaginable level of wealth. The writer at Business Watch who was assigned to report on this seems to disapprove of this move immensely. Well, why? Fuck you. Who cares? While the article does touch on the announcement of who took over the licorice division as well as what was to become of the maple candy factory, the entire text seems to be dripping with contempt that someone would be willing to dismantle and gut such a successful company to earn a quick buck. Did she even gut the company, or did she just sell it to somebody else? The article ends with a dig at Robin's personal life and lack of traditional values, but who am I to judge? Maybe she sold it to ensure a better future for her own children. Oh, wait. Okay. This is a standard that is not applied to men. Oh, how dare you not be a caregiver? It's illegal for your gender to not be a caregiver. What the fuck are we doing? Literally, what are we doing? Who cares? Okay. Huh. Well, I believe this is a series of dead ends that are meant to tell us that nothing happened, essentially. In this case, Charles Martin is a man, so it'd be really hard for a guy to get him pregnant, but they could try all they want. And then Robin Martin's entire thing is like, you won't believe how unpregnant I am. Which, for our purposes, is like a fourth wall break level of move on. Talked about Brazil. Let's look at China Roottree. China Roottree is one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute Roottree candy. It was developed as part of the Roottree Everywhere initiative in the summer of 1979. During the late 70s, China began to go through a period of economic reform. This led to new opportunities for American companies. I'm reading too fast and it's making me yawn. And the Roottree Candy Company decided to pounce. Long Hongbo, who had been said to personally win over the Roottree family, was the owner of multiple textile factories, did not wish to import the ingredients, and built a special factory to manufacture this candy in China. So instead they made a deal to import bulk, unpackaged Roottree candy and label it for not only China, but additional markets. Hongbo, who was already in his mid-50s when the deal happened, only had daughters, and his brother Lang Hongyu, who took control upon his death in 1986. After Hongyu died in 1992, it passed to the oldest child of the next generation, Lang Jinyu. Those are names. A lot of names, which means you can fill out a bit of a tree, potentially. If any of these people turn out to be relevant. You come across the website for the Longtai Textile Corporation, which is the company that helped expand Rootree's products to China since the late 1970s. The company seemed very accomplished. Their site has quotes from many different reporters and news articles listed on it. It's in nearly every language. It's also mentioned quite often on websites about Chinese businesses, but those mentions are company-focused and not people-focused, and don't offer any information useful to your investigation. Their page contains a very rudimentary leadership timeline, which names that proved that the company has been in the Lang family for a long time. It kind of looks like a family tree. Hey! It goes back at least 250 years in some form or other. During the period where they began the Roottree deal, Lang Hongbo in China, the family name comes first, so Lang is his last name, was the CEO. Them specifying feels like they're helping me enter the data into the tree. He died before the internet was widespread, so there's not much out there other than his name on his website. His younger brother, Lang Hongyu, is featured on the history section directly following him. This also seems to be the only mention of the man. The current CEO is a woman listed as simply Xinyu. The site doesn't list her last name, though she does appear to be in the family tree below Hongbo. Lang Tai has a few American logos on its page. One is the Roottree logo, another is Tranquilts, and the other is Peace in Asia. Huh. We have Lengtai Textile Company. Lang Hongyu, which we already know that name from a second ago. And then Xinyu. So we have all those names already, I don't need to re-highlight them. I tried Hongbo, so let's try Hongyu, which might just be this page again. Yeah, it is. Okay. Lang Xinyu. Lang Xinyu, in China, the family is a businesswoman currently running the Lengtai Textile Company. She was recently listed in an article on a website written by and for women. The article, entitled Empowered, is about the recent rise of women entrepreneurs in China. The article states that due to her lack of brothers, she has a younger sister, Lang Xinyu took over as CEO of her father's company in 1992 after her elderly uncle was deemed unfit to run the company due to mental deterioration. This was apparently an extremely controversial move amongst the company's employees, and some of them, the article does not state how many, quit and wrote a letter stating that she must have coerced him into it in his vulnerable state. If he's in such a vulnerable state, then it's probably correct that he doesn't work there anymore. You know, that just seems obvious. Since then, the company has been performing well. Her nephew, who is currently her second in command, is expected to take over when she retires. In the meantime, the board's stance has been a twist on a popular proverb. The article roughly translates it as, someone that has proven they can do something well can do it 100 times well. An unproven leader could do us all. The article also offhandedly mentions that Xinyu was an early adopter of IVF and helped her sister have a child. In vitro fertilization? I forgot how, I've heard of it. It's when you artificially inseminate someone, basically. But I don't remember the exact word that the V stands for. There's an unsourced picture of Xinyu in the article. It says that it's from 1992 when she took over. She was 45 at the time. It's been added to your evidence. Is IVF mentioned in the game itself? In vitro fertilization. Okay. It's a medical procedure that allows a woman to give birth to a child that was initially created in a laboratory. Sometimes this can be referred to as a test tube baby in popular culture. A woman does not necessarily need to give birth to a child developed from her own genetics. Sometimes, for example, a baby from an egg donor could be used. Sometimes a woman could act as a surrogate mother for another woman who is unable to carry a child herself. If it does come up, for the purposes of your family tree, an IVF child from a surrogate mother will be marked as belonging to their genetic parents, and the surrogate who gave birth will not necessarily appear on the chart unless she is also a part of the family. Yeah, if it comes up. It would be very funny if they have this whole explanation of the rules and then it doesn't come up and it's just actually not part of the puzzle. That'd be a pretty strong red herring to just straight up over-explain mechanics like that. That said, be sure to investigate these situations very carefully. They can be tricky or misleading. Yeah, because the mother isn't the mother. So you'll find out this person's the mother and they're like, no, they're not. Both the mother and the father aren't the mother or the father. It's like being adopted. Kind of. Kind of. I mean, yeah. It's like being adopted really early. Well, it depends on whether or not they stay with the mother, the birth mother, which is often not the point. Often, if you're talking about surrogate mothers, then the point is not for them to keep the baby. Let's see. I need a drink. Whew. That's the local candy, I think. Oh yeah, it's got a tree on it, like Roottree. A photo of Long Xinyu from a recent article about the growth of female entrepreneurs in China. She runs a business with many textile factories. Some manufacture packaging for American products. That's the second one to be a textile company, huh? Aren't textiles mostly like... Textiles by definition are like clothing, right? Like fabric? I'm surprised that... It's interesting that that's the second time a textile company became a chocolate company in this context. But I don't know shit about manufacturing and things. Huh. Could one of them be you? Maybe. If it was, be a little weird to think about the logistics of it, of like, wait, why would he do IVF unless she like stole his sperm or something? Like, why would, because like he kept making babies, but I don't think he was trying to make babies. I think he was just sleeping around constantly. So I don't think he necessarily wanted to specifically create a billion heirs and dilute the income necessarily. That's just kind of weird to think about. Okay, what else do I do with this? Let's see. This business watch. Searching for Long Xinyu separately brings up much fewer results than Long Tai, which I didn't do, I don't think. Long Xinyu was even featured in Business Watch in 1992. She missed out on Watchwoman of the Year, but did have a pretty sizable article that mentions some of her history. She was born in 1947, the first of 2 children. Her mother was already in her 30s when she had her, and had trouble conceiving a second time, until 3 years later, and this was Xinyu's sister. It became clear that her father was not going to have a son to pass the family business down to. This is how Xinyu became involved. Her father stayed the president of Long Tai for a very long time, and her daughters grew up. He began training them in hopes that one of them would have a son who could take over. One helped him in China, Xinyu, while with the other in the USA. Neither were given any official titles. When he died, due to societal dynamics, the business passed to his male sibling, a younger brother. Many in the know knew that this could be a problem. His brother, Xinyu's uncle, was not a businessman and was not much younger than his brother. During this time, Xinyu essentially ran the company as her uncle's consultant. He began to have problems relating to dementia, and Xinyu, who had already been running things behind the scenes, performed somewhat of a power play. She stopped working until the results of her absence began to cause problems. Only then did they admit they needed her. Damn. That is a bit of a power play. Okay, I've already been running this place. I'm gonna go on strike now that I run the whole place. You can see the basis of her quote of like, someone that's proven to do something can do it 100 times, but somebody who is unproven can do us all. She had an unproven uncle running the company badly, and she was totally ready to do it herself. Lang Tai. Lang Tai was mentioned in Business Watch fairly often in the last 20 years or so. There were a lot of articles about the rise of Chinese companies. Unfortunately, this makes the search results not particularly helpful. When you sort to find the oldest articles, however, one of the earliest mentions, in October 1979, stand as very unusual because it doesn't involve Lang Tai's business. The article details a new, at the time, medical industry. In vitro fertilization was brand new. barely a year old. After the first successful IVF birth in 1978, it seemed the industry began to grow, and a featured article about different companies all over the world and the costs that they could charge for their services was in Business Watch. This included a few cases of high-profile customers willing to pay a premium. Apparently at the time, the CEO of Longtai was Leng Hongbo, and his younger daughter, Long Xinyao, and her husband could not have children. So in an attempt to create a suitable heir, he paid Kaijins to have her child implanted in his older daughter, who was unmarried. The cost was apparently 380,000 yuan, or just over 100,000 USD. That's interesting. First thing I think about is how do I search Kaijins? Kaijins, pronounced Key Jeans, there we go, was a medical company with operations in both the US and China. They made international news in 1994 after a whistleblower came forward. Apparently their services were in some cases falsified. While they did often perform IVF, the whistleblower proved that a few of their customers paid for a very different service. An alibi! So if we can prove that this happened, then it could actually be a guy baby. Could it be that a guy baby was being covered up by this thing? Like, oh yeah, no, it's just a different person who's done in a host. Yeah, totally a real baby. I mean, it's a real baby, but the company would claim that they performed IVF on someone who was already pregnant to create a cover story for high-profile families who did not want to give up the child but did not want the shame of an unmarried mother. The whistleblower claimed that they had helped do this at least 6 times, but only provided proof of one case: the daughter of an American politician who was unrelated to your investigation. Kijin shut down soon after, and both founders have reportedly fled to Lebanon, where there is no extradition to either China or the US. Huh. They would have an alibi at Kijin's. Okay. Based on that, they claim that they put a child in the older daughter, who's not Xinyao. Xinyu. They really gave their kids super similar names twice, huh? Because both men had super similar names, the brothers, and their names are Xinyao and Xinyu. So Xinyu is the one that's actually relevant to history. Xinyao is, I think, only mentioned here as the supposed mother, but it's actually not the mother, and because they were probably covering for him sleeping with Xinyu. But when? 1979. She was unmarried. And you... Lang Xinyu, right? Not Xinyao, Xinyu, yeah. So it's Lang Xinyu. We don't know if this is actually the case or not, but it does line up interestingly. Her position is called what? CEO. I'm like, there's a bunch of different words for the leader of an entire company, and I don't really know what the difference between a bunch of them are, like CEO and president and so on. I was gonna say, is the president voted in, but weirdly, it was kind of inherited in this family. I guess they had kind of voted for it or something. But then you also have, I think CEOs are voted in by shareholders, so it's like you have to be publicly traded or something, maybe? I don't know what I'm talking about. I just don't really know the difference between these things very well. And I don't necessarily need to. Yeah, given that this person was married to Edson Soares, this could all fit, and given that she never married specifically, and instead just had an affair with Guy Hudson, seemingly, and then had a kid, is also, like, this is where that fits in the tree. So, based on the fact that the conditions of everyone is different, you can thankfully place people based on that. This is a married woman that had one kid. This is a married woman that had one kid. Oh, wait. This is the same as each other. Fuck. Never mind. Bad example. And these are two married people that had two kids. This is a married woman that had two kids and never divorced. This is a married woman that divorced and had two kids. This is an unmarried woman that had one kid. Technically, only these ones are the same, I think. I believe they just are the same. They're both married and then they got divorced and they had one kid. Yeah. They're just mirrored from each other. This guy has no idea that his kids aren't his kids, apparently. If this proves to be correct based on the DNA test, which technically they've supposedly been checking this whole time, but no one's telling me what their results are. Anyway, we'll wonder if this is the case or not. But for now, I'm going to let this one sit, because we don't even know if this is going to be correct. Oh, I guess I'm out of time right now. So we'll look into... There's one more, right? I think there's one... How far back? Oh, geez. I highlighted a lot of stuff. Well, I guess we'll look into France next.